Joining us with Inside Scoop is Laura Flam, co-author of But Will You Love Me Tomorrow? An oral history of the girl groups from back in the day. I love this. How'd you get interested in all of this from the 1960s?
You know, it's music that is everywhere, and even it just seems like we're born within our DNA. Especially I was growing up in the 80s when people who had grown up with the music were making movies and just had so much of the music. It was just everywhere.
Yeah, you know what was so interesting? I didn't realize that so many of them were local. Because you're a Brooklyn gal, right?
Yeah.
But the Shirelles got together in Passaic, New Jersey, the Ronettes in Washington Heights, the Chiffons in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So what did you learn about those groups and kind of their local ties?
Well, New York City was where, you know, there was this mythology, but it was actually true of all these groups performing and singing doo-wop on all these corners, which is where the early girl groups got the idea to even form groups. So the heartbeat of New York City and the whole hustle is in the music. You can practically hear it.
Yeah. So we know you interviewed hundreds of people for research for this book. Who did you interview and what stands out?
We interviewed, exactly, over 100 people. We interviewed women from, you know, people like Mary Wilson and Martha Reeves, and women from the Marvelettes, from the Motown sound, to, you know, Ronettes, Crystal, Chantels, Chiffons. You know, we tried to hit as many of the big groups as we could, and also include some groups like a group called the Cliquettes that never had huge fame but have fantastic music and important stories.
I was just going to ask you about some of the smaller ones that probably were on those corners but never got picked up by a major record deal, right? But still had incredible voices and talent. So I'm glad you mentioned the Cliquettes. Darlene Love, also somebody you spoke to. Now, she's been right here on our show many times. We love her.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
What did you
her.
learn from Darlene?
Well, she is a pioneer in all sorts of ways. Just the fact that she and her group, the Blossoms, were the first background singers, and they're on so many songs that people hear every day and don't realize. And then also Darlene Love, her solo career really didn't take off until she was 40, which is incredible. So she's really been working for her whole life, but her career was revived at 40, which is so rare.
Was it with the Christmas song?
It was.
Yeah.
You know, she was performing, and Paul Schaefer was working with her. David Letterman came down. She got invited to do the show, and then it became an annual tradition.
Wow.
It still is.
Which is so amazing, right? To have your career take off after 40.
Absolutely.
You know, it's inspirational. But there's also so much civil history, right? Like of segregation and what these groups overcame. So is part of the book a history lesson?
It really is, because we're talking about the years of let's say 55 to 65, which was such a changing time in American history. And society was changing so much, especially for women, young women, beginning of the Women's Live movement. And most of the girls in the girl groups were black. They traveled the South and had, you know, experiences that they really pushed the needle and introduced black culture to a lot of young white teenagers all over the country, and did a lot of work in the civil rights movement that people don't necessarily think of when they think of those women, but it's very true.
Right.
When you look at the totality of it all, right, and just kind of music from then till now, it always is the boy bands that kind of skyrocket to the top, right? Why do you think that is? And it goes back to the kind of the segregation thing, right, and just the overcoming of adversities. But what did you discover in some of the research?
Well, I think that part of the reason that this book took even so long to even come out is because, you know, people have been less interested in women's stories, and suddenly in the last few years there has been more interest. But, you know, I think that when you look at a moment like right now with Taylor Swift and Beyonce, you know, ruling and Madonna now out on tour, I think that it does come back to the women and the way that their voice is just cut through the music.
And the same thing in sports with the WNBA.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Women's
So,
soccer,
yeah.
Having a moment.
So these were some of the first women who, you know, put something together with some of their friends or family members and put themselves out there as public figures and young women, and you know, besides their wonderful songs and voices, they're incredible, interesting people.
Amazing.
Awesome. Laura, thank you so much for sharing these stories.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so impressed with your knowledge of all of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very cool. Check out her book, But Will You Love Me Tomorrow? An oral history of the girl groups, available everywhere books are sold.
Excellent. Thank you so much.